Welcome to 10 Minute Minor with Taylor Hadley. I'm here with Rasty McGibbon. How you doing, Rasty?
I'm doing well. I'm struggling, but I'm doing well.
We did a little flip the script, so I a little surprised Rasty here. He's been doing all the interviews, over 150 now, right? How many are you up to?
What are we at? 157, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, we're here at the 2024 National Championships, and right now, Women's D2's got some semifinal games going on. Women's D1 is in their quarterfinal madness. I am the Women's D2 commissioner, so I'll let Rasty ask me a few questions, but I did want to put him on the spot, ask him today, what are some of the best themes and interviews and conversations you've had with the coaches across all divisions and the players across all divisions? What has stood out to you this week?
Well, I think, as someone that has made a career out of something that came with higher education, I think something that's truly special for me is when I hear the conversations of young women, and regardless of whether it's the United States or Canada, that have used hockey as a vehicle to get into higher education. So either they made a decision on where they pursue higher education based on hockey, or whether they had really, leaving high school, no thoughts of higher education, and then the opportunity to play hockey conjoined with higher education came along. I think it's fantastic. I think stories that really warm my heart are First Nations women from Canada that have found the ACHA and want to go back and to spread the game of hockey on reservations, to teach now with education. I also love, I love, and I told the story probably early on, if you go back and watch some of the interviews in the 30s, a couple summers ago I had the opportunity when I was back in Canada to take my son to his first Blue Jays game. And we sat in the nosebleeds, but when
you took him to the nosebleeds?
I took him to the nosebleeds, yeah. When we walked out, and there's that massive sky dome there, and he just stood there with his mouth open. And there's so many players in all divisions that for the first time have come here. And this is a beautiful facility. I mean, it's got a restaurant in it. You know what I mean? The main rink is kind of a bowl, so when you're standing, you're looking down into the rink. They come in and are in awe. I think the parents come, and sometimes parents may have been like, I would have rather that my child had gone to school at place X, but instead went to place Y, and then they come to this and they're just blown away. So, I'm not at all involved with the organization of these national tournaments, but for yourself and the other commissioners and administration of the ACHA, you guys really do an incredible job, because then when you come here, it seems so effortless and seamless, and I think it speaks to all the behind-the-scenes preparation. Absolutely.
I think we have a great staff, and everyone puts in a lot of work to prep for the student experience. So Women's D2, we check in our players one by one, they show their ID, we give them their lanyard, and for me, that is one of the most fun parts about being a commissioner, is everyone finally gets to nationals, and they check in, they get their credentials, and I think it just adds this level of excitement and legitimacy to the whole experience. And the players, the look on their faces, one of the players I remember first day was like, oh, can I keep the lanyard? And they were like, this is so cool. And for me, their expectations were almost so low, to have those blown away when they get here is super fun.
And it's interesting you say that, because that is what Delaware talked about this morning. They talked about check-in. Yeah, and they just thought, how awesome the whole experiences had been, but it started there at check-in, and they actually talked about it.
Oh, I love to hear that. What are other themes that you've heard? So I got to listen to a couple of videos or stand in the background. Some things that stood out for me, and I'd love your take, mental health for players coming into these universities, starting new teams. So we have a St. Thomas out here, their team, literally this is their first season in the ACHA, and they came out to nationals, which is super cool. So those players got to talk about founding their team. What do you think some of those themes mean at the national stage like this?
Well, I think one thing that you have to be sensitive to, and I mean, I work in healthcare, I think the pressures that female student athletes face are very different than what male student athletes face. And I think that any way that we can increase our sensitivity to those issues, and I heard a statistic on some podcast that, by the age of like 16, 17, 18, 40% of young women have left sports due to body dysmorphia. Like they're just, and you know what? I thought, man, how tragic is that?
Truly.
Now, I don't have a solution.
Nope.
But, so yeah, I think any way that we can increase our sensitivity to, and also be aware that it's not like the same problems that young men student athletes face are the same as young women, and also find ways that we individually and collectively can support young women and actually keep them in sport. Yeah. I mean, I think sport is a great thing for young women, but I think the challenges are very different, and I don't think we can paint everybody with the same brush.
No, absolutely, and I think the opportunities that ACHA women's hockey offer are exactly what you just said. It's keeping women in sports. And so to see next season, 24-25, our vision is that we will exceed 100 women's teams for the first time in the ACHA, just based on growth, applications that we're expecting, and that's so exciting. And so to see so many women's teams provide that opportunity for girls coming out of high school to continue playing sport, make connections, build networks, have just a community around them when they get to campus, I think is a big difference maker on that spectrum.
One thing that I would love to pitch is if there is a school that is considering having an ACHA team, their first scouting trip should be to this national tournament. They prospective coach, prospective players, come get a hotel for a couple days, buy a pass, come and be on the front lines, talk to the players, talk to the coaches, talk to the parents, and then the thing that's a little bit harder is realize what the investment in a team not only does for the players' lives, whether it's young men or young women, but also what it does for the school. Yeah. And I don't remember who I was talking to, maybe Gary Stalos from Adrian. He said that people that participate in sports perform better academically.
Oh, I believe that.
Yeah. So it's not just that this is a leisure activity and this is something to do when you're not studying. There is direct correlation to academic performance by here. And I'm ecstatic that I'm able to participate in something like the ACHA.
I love that. My final question for you in this takeover interview, and then you can ask me whatever you want.
Okay, yeah.
Tell us about how long have you been involved with the ACHA? Is it 30 years now?
No. On today, like day 8 in a row, it feels like 30 years, but no. David Kurtz and I got involved for the very first time in February of 2005. So this is the 19th year, not consecutive. I missed a few with grad school and some other things, but 19th year involvement. And
what would be, this is follow-up, maybe top ACHA memory or experience that you carry close to your heart?
Well, I think obviously it's like when you hear interviews with whether it's Stanley Cup, Super Bowl, World Series, you name it. The first one is always memorable. Probably my closest friend in the ACHA is Paul Hebert. I can remember February or March 2006 in Rochester, Michigan, kind of getting to know Paul, and I think that relationship is stronger than ever and has continued. With my involvement with some of the select teams and being invited to go overseas. I really, I was talking to Craig Barnett this morning. I said, I think right now I've got the best role in the ACHA. I just hope you don't find out, and I do. I get to do a little bit of what I do for work, which is, in the medical field when we go overseas. But I love to talk. I love to meet new people. And so I think being able to sit here with a cup and just have conversations, and to hear the stories of the coaches, players, grandmas, whoever I get on here. I think really with the ACHA, we have a fantastic product. I want to use this as a mechanism for more people to find out about it. And if there's someone out there that this is ACHA hockey keeps them in school and helps them get a degree, I mean, fantastic. I talked to a young lady yesterday. She went from Southern Ontario to, I don't know if it's Northern Ontario or not, but in Sioux, just to play hockey, and she decided to get her, you know what? There is a good nursing school in Barrie, Ontario. And I know this because I lived right across the lake from Barrie, Ontario. But instead, she went to the Sioux so that she can play hockey, and she's going to get her nursing degree there. So that kind of stuff I love. Yeah. And so I think we've raised the bar a little bit this year. I'm hoping that the quality of these. Devin is a huge part of that, my producer, and I'm going to drag him on the show before this week's over.
Do,
I am. And I think that we as a league have maybe underestimated. I mean, I'm not a social media guy, but I think we've underestimated the role of social media in today's world. And last year when Jace Barnett was producing my segments and I asked him about the role of social media, he said social media is the way that our generation communicates. So if we're not using social media, then we're not communicating with that generation. I think we need to.
Oh, absolutely. When I first started as commissioner, Twitter, now X, was the go-to platform for all the teams, and it's been really fascinating to watch the transition of everyone onto Instagram, onto TikTok, and that's where the teams are today. So I absolutely think that's great that you're looking ahead to next season already so that we can get these videos out there and make sure we're meeting players where they're at.
So for you.
Should we switch chairs now?
No. I think we get tangled up in the wires, yeah. What have you liked about this Nationals? And what would you like to see 5 years from now?
5 years from now? Well, this Nationals, we have every year seen the turnover of talent grow. So the scores, closer games, more overtimes, which we love to see. We want to see the parity. We want to see teams that don't play each other during the regular season. Geographically, WG is very spread out. So our top seeds in each region, who knows what those seeds will mean when you finally get here, right? Number 1 in the Southeast versus number 4 in Central. That might not actually be the way that the national ranking shakes out. So it's really interesting to see teams come through. So what I want to see 5 years from now is to see continued just competition. So the closeness of our games, overtimes. We don't want to see scores that get too out of hand at nationals. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is as teams continue to bring in more talent and as women's hockey in the U.S. continues to grow, the pool of players to recruit from is massive. So teams have so many more opportunities to recruit, and I think we'll continue to see our competition at Women's C2 explode over the next 5 years.
I would absolutely love that. I would. I think it's an awesome opportunity. I think you do a great job.
Thanks.
And thanks for all the questioning.
This is 10 Minute Minor with Taylor Hadley. I'm here with Rasty McGibbon, and we're at the 2024 National Championships. Thank you for being a good sport.
Hey, first time with a woman I've ever been on the right side of a conversation.
Jerk.